Good morning everybody. For the vegetable gardener, things tend to come in fits and starts and become sort of almost like a package. For instance, the start of this year, it's all about the alliums. So you get your onions going first, and a bit later you get your leeks going, then it's your shallots, and if you're planting onion sets or shallot sets, you'll get them started as well. So it's kind of a grouping, putting those things together. Right now for me, it's roots. And they're a very versatile crop because you can grow them all season long, and when you come to harvest them you can store them, and they will store in a cool dark place or in sand or in clamps or wherever you choose to store them, and they will see you through the winter. They're a reliable crop that you can utilise through those darker days of winter. So that's what I'm getting on with today. Now, just recently, it's been quite cold for myself here in Cumbria, and you'll have to check and look into your own weather. But we had our last frost yesterday morning, and for now and for the next 3 weeks, overnight temperatures don't seem to dip really below 6 degrees. And the daytime temperatures are very warm as well. So when the soil warms up during the day, it will stay warmer through the night. Now that's key really, because you want a soil temperature of around about 10 degrees really for sowing most of your root crops. Things like parsnips you can get away with sowing at a much lower temperature, but in the main it's best if you wait for that higher temperature, and then they'll all start to germinate. So I'm going to get on and sow some carrots and some parsnips and a few other little bits today, and yeah, just get all my root stuff going today if I can. Now, when I started the no dig beds on this side, the first year I had carrots in this long bed. Last year they were in here. In fact, if you look through that cage you can see one still growing in there I've missed. And this year they're going in here. I do like to rotate my crops if I can. It's not highly essential, but it's just something I prefer to do. It's an old-fashioned way. It's in my genes, so to speak. And what I've done is I've set out the labels for each row where I want them to go, bearing in mind that that cage there and that cage there covered in enviromesh or veggie mesh to protect against the carrot fly, and each cage will go over these carrots to protect them through growth, but not quite yet. I've raked this bed, weeded it this morning and doused it with water just to wet it, so we're good to go for sowing. And I'll just make some drills with my finger and sow each variety, water them all again so they're all watered in and settled and in contact with the compost, and then I'll wait for germination. Once I've got reasonable or full germination, I'll go through and thin them out and put the cages on. So I'm sowing 4 varieties in here, and I've got carrot, purple sun, autumn king and burlicum. They're 3 favourites, grown on them before, and a new one to me this year is carrot Touchon. Apparently that's a much sweeter carrot, and it holds that sweetness through the winter and stores well. So looking forward to trying that one. So they're the 4 varieties. So I think it's about 3 or 4 rows of each, something like that. So this is the variety Touchon, and I'm going to use my seed dispenser here simply because I don't want too many seeds going in the drill, because if you do, you've got to prick them out later, pull them out, thin them out, simply because you don't want them growing too close together, and you don't really want to be thinning them out if you can get away with it, because you attract carrot fly, the enemy of every carrot grower. So I'm just going to use my homemade dibber. This is wet compost, as I said earlier. Just draw a drill with my finger. And I'm going to aim for about 3 seeds per inch, there or thereabouts. I want them quite sparse. I don't want to be pulling too many out. But on the other hand, I don't want too few in where I get holes in the road because I haven't had any germinate. Now, when these come up, and before I put the cages on, I'll leave the cages off for a while until I see I've got full germination right across the bed. Then I'll go in and thin them out in the evening time. I'll come down in the evening when the carrot fly aren't flying, thin them out to perhaps 1 per inch. And here's where knowing your carrots works out, because if you've got a carrot that grows this thick, you're going to want them that far apart at least to allow them to swell. So know your carrot varieties, how big they grow, and you can thin out to that. And then if you've got any protection, you can put your protection on. And for me, that'll be one of those cages. So that is it there. And when I've done the whole bed, I'll water it all again, and then I'll keep this moist until I've got full germination. The biggest enemy really is drought, dryness in the soil, and also slugs. So I'm sowing some parsnips now, and I've just drawn out a drill with my homemade dibber, and I want to sow these seeds about 1 inch apart. You can see they're big seeds. You've got to be careful, they will blow away if the wind gets to them. So just try and space them as best you can. You can station sow them, choose an area and just sow 2 or 3 together if that's what you want, or just blast hundreds of seeds into each drill if you want to, which I've done in the past. I don't anymore. So you just pick out, thin out the weaker ones, and that's it. Just cover them over and water them. Job done. Move on to the next drill. Right, I'm also going to sow some 3 rows of beetroot. This is just first of the year. There'll be plenty of these going in over the season, much bigger seeds, and I am just going to blast them in. I'm not going to mess around. They're super cheap and you get super loads for your money, so I'm not too concerned about that. Just cover them over, move on to the next row. So that'd be 3 rows of them. Super quick, super easy. No messing around. And the last thing I'm going to sow is a couple of rows of radish. And this is French breakfast, and they're a lovely, lovely radish. Right, I'm also wanting to sow 3 rows of turnip as well, so I'll crack them in now. I mean, sowing like this is great because it takes no time at all. And again, it's just another strain off the year. If you can get things done quickly, easily and efficiently, you can go from a situation, if you are out of control, as I have been lately, trying to get other jobs done, to getting back into control and getting back on track. So these are little purple top globe turnips, and I really like to use these grated in coleslaw. Beautiful. Job done. Cover, pat down and water. Right, we're going to sow the celeriac. Right, celeriac you've got to be careful of, because There's 10,000 seeds in this packet. Nobody needs that many plants. So sprinkle that under the hands, and then I will just palm sow. This compost is barely moistened, and that's enough. In fact, that is too much. But I'll spray over these later just to moisten them on the top. These are going home now, and they're going to go on my windowsill propagator in the kitchen back at home for germination, and then they'll get pricked on, moved on as necessary. So that's celeriac done. So with these potatoes sown last week, and we having now got 4 different types of carrot in the one bed, and some parsnips, some beetroot, some radish, some turnip in another bed. That is the majority of the roots that I need for this year. Now I will sow again a lot of them. Certainly I've got the 2 beds there that I'm companion planting this year, and all of those except for parsnips, celeriac and potatoes will be sown in there, although I may change my mind on that. I do grow carrots in the polytunnel over winter. I've got a bed full of them to harvest there yet, so I will be multi-sowing those again, and also things like the beetroot, radish and the turnip, they'll all be sown again. I also need to sow swede, but I won't be sowing that for a couple of months yet. That's more of a over winter crop, a later sowing. But that's this little batch of seeds done. You know, this is the root section. We've done the alliums, we've done the roots. Next we'll move on to something else. But that's it for this video. Look after yourselves everyone, stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.